That night, I just stopped by to blow out candles after weekend drill training still in uniform because I hadn't had time to change. He looked at the insignia on my chest and sneered, "You're getting too proud." The punch came faster than any apology could. 3 hours later. My phone buzzed. My commanding officer wanted to see me first thing in the morning. I stared at the bruise forming on my cheekbone in the bathroom mirror, wondering how a birthday celebration had turned into this. My name is Cassidy Brooks, and I've worn the Army Reserve uniform with pride for 6 years. That Saturday evening in Riverton, Ohio, I thought I was just stopping by my mother's house for Grandma's 82nd birthday party. The drill weekend at the 141st Sustainment Company had run late convoy operations training always did, and I barely had time to grab the gift I'd left in my car before heading inside. The kitchen smelled of cheap whiskey and store-bought cake. Victor Hale, my stepfather, sat sprawled in his usual chair, 3 empty beer bottles already lined up like soldiers on the side table. His eyes narrowed when he saw me walk through the door in my ACUs. "Look who decided to show up," he slurred, gesturing at my uniform with his 4th bottle. "Too important to change into regular clothes like normal people. I came straight from drill. Victor, didn't want to miss Grandma blowing out her candles." I kept my voice level. Professional the way Captain Mercer taught us to de-escalate. My mother, Denise, barely glanced up from arranging paper plates. My half-brother Colton smirked from the corner, phone already in hand, probably recording for his Instagram stories. Drill. Victor spat the word like it tasted bad. Playing soldier on weekends, walking around in that costume, thinking you're better than everyone else. It's not a costume. It's a uniform. The words came out sharper than I intended. He stood up, swaying slightly. "You're too proud, Cassidy. Too fucking proud for your own good. Victor, please." Grandma's voice wavered from the living room. "It's my birthday." But he was already moving toward me, that familiar rage building in his bloodshot eyes. I'd seen it before when he'd punched holes in walls, when he'd thrown Mom's jewelry box across the room, but never directed at me. Not until tonight. "Take it off," he demanded. "You're in my house. Take off that uniform." "I'm not disrespecting my uniform because you've had too much to drink." The slap came first, sharp across my left cheek. My phone clattered to the floor. Someone gasped. Maybe Aunt Linda. A child started crying in the next room. "You don't talk back to me." Victor's fist connected with my cheekbone before I could step back. The pain exploded through my face, and I stumbled into the kitchen counter. Dishes rattled. The cake shifted dangerously close to the edge. "Stop!" The voice was mine, but it sounded distant, professional. "That's assault. I'm leaving." "Cassidy." My mother finally spoke, but not to defend me. "You provoked him coming here all high and mighty in that uniform. You know how he gets." Blood pounded in my ears. My training kicked in document everything. I grabbed my phone from the floor, hands steady despite the adrenaline. Colton was still recording, but I saw him lower his phone and start tapping editing. Probably. A knock rattled the front door. "Everything okay in there? Mrs. Patterson from next door." "We're fine," Denise called out, shooting me a warning look. "Just a little family disagreement." I touched my cheekbone, already swelling. "I'm done here." "You walk out that door. You're not welcome back," Victor said, sinking back into his chair like nothing had happened. "Good." I shouldered past Colton, who was already uploading his edited video with the caption, "Sister causes drama at Grandma's birthday." Outside, I sat in my car for 10 minutes, using my phone camera to document the swelling, the red handprint still visible on my other cheek. My hands shook as I typed out an incident report in my notes app, recording times, witnesses, exact words. The habits of military precision gave me something to focus on. At 11:43 p.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Captain Mercer. "Brooks, heard there was an incident tonight involving you in uniform. My office. 0700 hours tomorrow." My stomach dropped. How did he know already? Then I saw Colton's Instagram story spreading through our small military community, carefully edited to show me storming out, but not Victor's assault. I drove back to my apartment, applied ice to my face, and took photos every hour as the bruise darkened. At 2:15 a.m., I finally fell asleep in my uniform, too exhausted to change, wondering how defending my service had made me the enemy in my own family. Sunday morning came too fast. I woke at 5:30 a.m. to 14 notifications. The family Facebook group had exploded overnight. Aunt Linda's post with 200 reactions, praying for our family after Cassidy's disrespectful display at Mother's birthday. Some children forget where they come from when they put on a uniform. The comments were worse. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years suddenly had opinions about my attitude problem. Denise had added her own post at 3:48 a.m. Heartbroken that my daughter chose to ruin her grandmother's special day. All Victor asked was for her to show respect in his home. Colton's edited video had made the rounds. He'd cut it perfectly, starting with me saying, "I'm done here," and storming out. Victor sitting calmly in his chair. No slap, no punch, no context. Just an angry woman in uniform causing a scene at a family gathering. My work email chimed. My chest tightened when I saw it was from Northbridge Logistics HR, sent at 6:12 a.m. on a Sunday. Ms. Brooks, we've received a concerning complaint about your conduct. Please contact HR first thing Monday morning. An anonymous complaint. Of course. At 0700. I sat outside Captain Mercer's office, bruise covered with concealer that wasn't quite doing its job. He called me in immediately, his expression unreadable. "Sit, Brooks." He studied my face, eyes lingering on the swelling I couldn't quite hide. "I've seen the video making rounds. I've also been in the Army long enough to know when there's more to a story." I straightened. "Sir, Did he hit you?" The directness caught me off guard. "Yes, sir." "In uniform?" "Yes, sir." Because I was in uniform. "Actually." Mercer leaned back, fingers steepled. "Tell me everything. Don't leave anything out." For 20 minutes, I laid out the facts like a mission report. Times, locations, witnesses, the smell of whiskey, the sound of dishes rattling, the child crying. Mercer took notes, occasionally asking for clarification. "You documented the injuries. Photos every hour, sir, time-stamped. Witnesses. My grandmother, mother, brother, aunt, 2 cousins, and the neighbor who knocked." He pulled out a different form. "Brooks, what happened to you isn't just assault. It's an attack on a service member. That's federal jurisdiction if we want it. But more importantly, this is domestic violence." The words hung heavy. Domestic violence. I'd never thought of it that way. "The Army takes this seriously," he continued. "We have resources, legal support through JAG, counseling services, and I can ensure this doesn't affect your standing in the unit. But you need to file a police report. Today. Sir, my family is trying to control the narrative. I've seen the social media posts, the anonymous HR complaint. This is textbook manipulation. Brooks. They're trying to isolate you, make you the bad guy so you won't speak up about what really happened." My phone buzzed. Denise calling for the 5th time this morning. I declined it. "There's something else," Mercer said. "Colton Hale called my personal cell at 0600, claimed you were drunk in uniform, that he has video evidence, when I asked him to send the full, unedited footage. He hung up. The calculated cruelty of it hit me. They weren't just trying to silence me, they were trying to destroy my career, my reputation, everything I'd worked for. What do I do, sir? You fight back, but smart, document everything, every text, every call, every post. Ohio is a one-party consent state for recording use that. Get that police report filed, get a medical evaluation for your injuries. And Brooks, he met my eyes. Don't you dare take that uniform off in shame. You've earned the right to wear it." I left his office with a folder of resources and a plan. At the Riverton Police Department, I filed a report. The officer took photos of my bruises under proper lighting. At the hospital, they documented the injuries, took x-rays, and gave me a case number. By Sunday evening, my phone had 63 missed calls from family members. The Facebook posts had multiplied. Someone, probably Colton, had sent another anonymous email to Northbridge, claiming I was unstable and violent. But I also had my evidence folder growing screenshots of every post, recordings of 3 voicemails from Denise threatening to make my life hell, and a copy of Mrs. Patterson's witness statement she'd volunteered to give after hearing about the edited video. At 9:15 p.m., I got a text from an unknown number. "This is Patricia Rowe, attorney. Captain Mercer gave me your information. I specialize in domestic violence cases involving service members. Free consultation tomorrow if you're interested." For the first time since Victor's fist connected with my face, I felt something other than shock and betrayal. I felt ready to fight. Monday morning, I sat in Patricia Rowe's office, watching her review my evidence folder with the intensity of a drill sergeant inspecting gear. She was younger than I'd expected, maybe 40, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "This is thorough," she said, examining the medical report. "Military training. Logistics, ma'am. Documentation is what we do." "Good. That's going to help us." She pulled up a legal pad. "First things first, we're filing for an emergency protective order today. Victor Hale has a history. Doesn't he? I don't know officially, but I'll run a background check. These types always have a pattern." She typed rapidly. "Meanwhile, we need to address the harassment campaign. The Facebook posts and anonymous complaints could constitute defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress." My phone rang. Denise again. Patricia nodded, and I answered on speaker. Hitting record. "Cassidy, you need to drop this nonsense right now." My mother's voice was ice. "You're destroying our family over nothing. He assaulted me. Mom." "He barely touched you. You're so dramatic. Always have been. And now you're bringing lawyers into it. You're sick, Cassidy. Sick in the head." "Is that a medical diagnosis?" Patricia interjected calmly. Silence. Then, "Who is this?" "Patricia Rowe, Ms. Brooks' attorney. This call is being recorded. Any further contact should go through me." She rattled off her office number and hung up. "That was satisfying," I admitted. "It's about to get worse before it gets better," Patricia warned. "They'll escalate when they realize you're serious. Are you prepared for that?" I thought about 6 years of service, of earning my stripes, of Captain Mercer's words about not taking off my uniform in shame. "Yes, ma'am. We spent 3 hours building the case." Patricia found something interesting in the court records. Dorothy Lane, a former neighbor, had filed a police report against Victor 4 years ago for property damage and intimidation. The charges were dropped when Dorothy moved away. "I'll reach out to her," Patricia said. "Pattern of behavior matters in these cases." At the JAG office that afternoon, Major Catherine Silva reviewed my case with military precision. "Attacking a service member in uniform can be prosecuted under federal law," she explained. "But we typically coordinate with local authorities unless there are exceptional circumstances. What we will do is ensure your command knows this is a legitimate domestic violence situation, not a conduct issue on your part." Colton called my CO claiming I was drunk in uniform. "Making false official statements is serious. If he persists, we can pursue charges." She made a note. "For now, we document everything and let them hang themselves with their own rope." By Tuesday, I had my temporary restraining order. The judge granted it based on the medical evidence and Victor's prior police contact. It covered both Victor and Denise, requiring them to stay 500 feet away from me, my home, and my workplace. Wednesday brought Dorothy Lane's statement. Patricia had tracked her down in Michigan. Dorothy's sworn affidavit described Victor punching a hole in her fence during an argument about property lines, then threatening to do worse if she called the police. She'd moved rather than fight. "Classic intimidation pattern," Patricia said. "This helps establish credibility." At Northbridge Logistics, HR concluded their investigation by Thursday. My manager, James Holworth, had provided timestamps showing I was processing shipments when the anonymous complainant claimed I was using company time for personal vendettas. The security logs backed him up. The complaint appears to be retaliatory harassment, the HR director told me. We're noting this in case of future incidents. But the family campaign intensified. Colton posted a new video this time claiming I was mentally unstable and had attacked Victor. Cousins shared it with captions about praying for Cassidy's healing. Someone created a Facebook page called Justice for Victor Hale with a carefully cropped photo of him looking elderly and frail. Friday afternoon, my phone buzzed with a text from Captain Mercer. Pack your evidence. Jag wants to see everything Monday. And Brooks Dorothy Lane's statement triggered something. There might be more victims. That evening, I sat in my apartment organizing files into a classification system any supply sergeant would be proud of. Tab A Medical Documentation, Tab B Police Reports, Tab C Witness Statements, Tab D Digital Harassment Evidence, Tab E Audio Recordings, all legal under Ohio law, Tab F Timeline with corresponding evidence markers. My laptop dinged with an email from Patricia. The subject line read, "Third witness found." The message was brief. Former girlfriend of Victor's from 2018. Hospital records of a broken wrist. She's willing to testify. I poured another cup of coffee and opened a new folder labeled Pattern Evidence. For the first time since that birthday party, I wasn't playing defense anymore. I was building an offensive that would make any logistics officer proud, methodical, documented, and devastating. My phone lit up with another family message, but I didn't read it. I had work to do. Monday's JAG meeting changed everything. Major Silva had assembled a team, 2 other JAG officers, and a victim advocate. They'd done their homework over the weekend. Brooks, we've identified a pattern of targeting military members and their families. Major Silva began. Victor Hale's second ex-wife was a Navy veteran. She filed multiple reports that were mysteriously dropped. The victim advocate, Sergeant First Class Rachel Torres, slid a folder across the table. This is bigger than just you. We're prepared to support federal charges if the local prosecution fails. Captain Mercer had been pulled into the meeting. The unit is behind you. Brooks, this isn't just an attack on you, it's an attack on the uniform. Tuesday morning at Northbridge Logistics started normally until security called. Ms. Brooks, there's a Colton Hale here demanding to see you. He's under a restraining order by extension. Call the police. 10 minutes later, I watched through the security monitor as Riverton PD escorted Colton off the property. He'd live-streamed the whole thing, claiming I was hiding behind lawyers and destroying an innocent man. My supervisor, James, appeared at my desk. HR wants to see you. Don't worry, it's good news. The HR director had printed out a stack of papers. We've received 17 emails supporting you from colleagues who've seen the online harassment. We're prepared to issue a cease and desist to your family members if they contact us again. Additionally, she continued, we're providing you with paid administrative leave if you need it for court appearances. Wednesday brought an unexpected ally. Mrs. Patterson, the neighbor who'd knocked that night, called Patricia's office. She had doorbell camera footage from that evening, clear audio of the assault. The sound of impact, my voice saying, "That's assault," and Victor yelling, "You don't talk back to me." "This is gold," Patricia said, playing it back. "The timestamp matches your documentation perfectly." But Thursday, the other side escalated. I woke at 5:20 a.m. to alerts from my security system. Someone had been in the parking lot of my apartment complex around 3 a.m. The cameras showed Colton near my car, but the angle wasn't clear enough to see what he was doing. I went down to check. My spare uniform, which I'd left in the back seat after dry cleaning, was gone. "File a report immediately," Patricia instructed over the phone. "Theft of military property is a federal offense." Captain Mercer was less diplomatic when I informed him. "They stole military property, Brooks. Give me Colton's information. I'm filing a report with CID." The Criminal Investigation Division didn't play games when it came to military equipment. By noon, the Riverton police had questioned Colton. He denied everything, but security footage from the dry cleaners showed him following me there 2 days earlier. Patricia added stalking to our growing list of charges. Friday escalated further. At 0900, someone reported to the Army Reserve Center that I was impersonating a soldier. The duty sergeant who took the call happened to be Sergeant Rodriguez, who'd known me for 4 years. "Brooks, they're getting desperate," he told me. I documented the false report. Major Silva wants copies for the file. At Northbridge that afternoon, we received an unusual delivery, a package addressed to HR claiming to contain evidence of Cassidy Brooks' violent tendencies. Inside was a flash drive with Colton's edited videos and printed Facebook posts. HR immediately turned it over to Patricia. "They just provided us with evidence of their harassment campaign." Patricia laughed. "They're literally documenting their own crimes." Saturday. I was reviewing inventory reports at home when Captain Mercer called. "Brooks, I need you to know something. Colton Hale just sent an email to the battalion commander claiming you're AWOL from drills and falsifying military service." My stomach dropped. "Sir, Relax. Brooks, Colonel Martinez pulled your attendance records himself. Perfect attendance for 2 years. He's forwarding Colton's email to the FBI for false statements to federal officers. The FBI, impersonation complaints, false official statements, and theft of military property. Your stepbrother just graduated from state to federal charges." That evening, Dorothy Lane called me directly. "Cassidy, I heard about what's happening. I want you to know Victor told me once that he knew how to break military types. Said they were too rigid, too proud. He enjoyed the challenge." I recorded the call with her permission, adding another piece to the pattern. By Sunday night, my case files had expanded to 3 boxes. Patricia had compiled a masterful timeline showing escalating harassment, witness intimidation, and criminal behavior. The JAG office had prepared a parallel federal case. Northbridge Logistics had banned my family members from all properties and systems. As I uploaded my latest evidence to the cloud backup, my 3rd redundancy system and email arrived from Patricia. "Prosecutor wants to meet Monday. They're considering upgraded charges for Victor assault, intimidation, and pattern of domestic violence. Colton's looking at theft, stalking, false reports, and cyber harassment. Denise may face conspiracy charges for coordinating the harassment campaign." I looked at my uniform hanging in the closet, the one Victor had said I wore out of pride. He was wrong. I wore it out of duty, honor, and commitment values he'd never understand. Tomorrow, we'd begin the final phase, and this time, I wouldn't be standing alone. Tuesday afternoon shattered any illusion that Victor would back down quietly. I was conducting inventory checks in Warehouse 3 at Northbridge when security called again. "Ms. Brooks, we have a situation at the main entrance." Through the security feed, I saw Victor's truck parked sideways across 2 spaces. He stood at the reception desk, red-faced, slamming his palm down repeatedly. Even without audio, I could see he was shouting. "Call 911, I told security. "And start recording everything." I stayed in the warehouse, watching through my phone as security live-streamed the scene. Victor pointed at the cameras, then at the receptionist, a young woman named Angela who looked terrified. "Where is she?" His voice carried even through the glass doors. "I know that coward is hiding in there, Cassidy. Get out here and face me like you pretend to be a soldier." Angela's hands shook as she picked up the phone. Our security guard, Marcus, stepped between Victor and the desk. "Sir, you need to leave. The police are on their way." "I'm not going anywhere until that lying piece of trash comes out here." Victor kicked a chair across the lobby. "She thinks she can destroy my life. Hide behind her little uniform. She's nothing but a weekend warrior playing dress-up." My phone recorded everything. Patricia would want this. The next 5 minutes felt like hours. Victor paced the lobby like a caged animal, ranting about ungrateful children and fake soldiers. He picked up a potted plant and threw it against the wall. Soil exploded across the white tiles. "You tell her," he pointed at the camera, knowing I was watching. "That uniform won't protect her. Neither will her CO or her lawyers. I know where she lives. I know where she works. She's going to learn what happens when you disrespect family." Riverton PD arrived at 2:43 p. 4 officers this time. They knew who Victor was by now. Hands behind your back, Mr. Hale. This is bullshit. She's the one who should be arrested. As they led him out, he turned to the camera one more time. This isn't over, Cassidy. You hear me? This will never be over. Marcus locked the doors behind them and turned to Angela. You okay? She nodded, still shaking. Is it safe? Is he coming back? I came down to the lobby. Angela, I'm so sorry. This is my don't apologize, she interrupted. We all saw the real video from Mrs. Patterson's doorbell camera. HR shared it with the security after that package arrived. We know what he did to you. The police took statements from 6 witnesses. The security footage was pristine, 4 angles of Victor's rampage, all with audio. Patricia arrived within an hour, having received my call, threatening a victim under a restraining order, destruction of property, disturbing the peace. She listed. And those threats on camera, the prosecutor is going to love this. But Wednesday morning brought a new escalation. I woke at 4:30 a.m. to the smell of smoke. Racing to my window, I saw flames in the parking lot. My heart stopped. Someone had set fire to something near the dumpster. I called 911 while pulling on clothes. By the time I got downstairs, neighbors had gathered. In the smoking pile of half-burned fabric was my stolen uniform. The fire department arrived first, then police. The arson investigator bagged what remained of my uniform. The name tape Brooks was still partially visible. Any idea who would do this? The detective asked. Check if Colton Hale has an alibi, I said flatly. Security footage from the building showed a figure in a hoodie around 3:15 a.m., but the cameras didn't catch the actual fire being set. However, a neighbor's Tesla had been recording, and its side camera caught a clear image of Colton's face as he ran past. Captain Mercer was livid when I called him at 0600. They burned your uniform. His voice was deadly quiet. Brooks, CID is taking this over. Destruction of military property through arson, that's federal prison time. The Criminal Investigation Division agent arrived at my apartment by noon. Special Agent David Kerr took photos of the scene, collected the evidence bags, and interviewed neighbors. Ms. Brooks, this is witness intimidation on top of destruction of government property, he said. We're coordinating with local law enforcement, but this is our jurisdiction now. Thursday, Patricia called with updates. Victor's in custody. No bail until the hearing the judge considered him a flight risk and danger to you. Colton's been arrested for the arson. The Tesla footage was definitive. And Denise, still posting on Facebook, calling you a traitor to the family. But she's about to have bigger problems. The prosecutor found her texts to Colton encouraging the harassment. Conspiracy charges are coming. Friday at work, James pulled me aside. Cassidy, I want you to know the entire logistics team has your back. We've all written statements about your professionalism and character. Angela organized it after Tuesday's incident. A stack of 32 notarized character statements sat on his desk. I had to blink back tears. We take care of our own, James said simply. Military or not, you're part of our unit here too. That afternoon, Major Silva called with remarkable news. Brooks, we've connected 3 more veterans who've had similar experiences with Victor Hale over the past decade, all service members or their families. This is serial targeting. The pattern was clear now. Victor sought out military families, enjoyed breaking down their discipline and pride. But this time, he'd chosen the wrong soldier. Saturday morning, I transformed my apartment into a war room. Every surface held evidence binders, color-coded and cross-referenced. My laptop displayed a timeline on the wall-mounted TV, every incident, every witness, every piece of evidence mapped out like a military operation. Patricia arrived at 0900 with coffee and her paralegal. Marcus, ready to build your case like a logistics convoy. We spent 12 hours constructing what Patricia called the chain of evidence. Each document was cataloged with military precision. Exhibit a medical documentation. A1 emergency room intake, timestamp 11:58 p.m. Saturday A2 facial x-rays showing bone bruising. A3 progressive photos showing bruise development, A4 medical costs totaling $3,400. Exhibit B video audio evidence, B1 misses. Patterson's doorbell camera, the assault, B2 Northbridge security footage. Victor's rampage, B3 Tesla camera footage. Colton with burned uniform, B4. 23 legally recorded phone calls, B5. Colton's edited videos with metadata proving manipulation. Exhibit C digital harassment campaign, C168. Facebook posts from 14 family members. C2 screen recordings of live streams. C3 anonymous emails to Northbridge IP traced to Denise's home. C4 text messages showing conspiracy between Denise and Colton. Exhibit D pattern evidence, D1. Dorothy Lane's statement and police report, D2. Victor's ex-wife's Navy records and hospital reports, D3. 3 additional veteran victim statements, D4 court records showing dropped charges pattern of intimidation. This is bulletproof, Marcus said, reviewing our work. You've built this case like a supply chain, every link documented and verified. Sunday brought an unexpected development. Captain Mercer called at 0700. Brooks, the battalion commander wants to attend your hearing. Full dress uniform. He's making a statement about attacks on service members. Sir, that's not necessary. It's already decided. Major Silva will be there too, along with 6 members from your unit who volunteered. We protect our own. Monday, I met with Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Nowak. She reviewed our evidence mountain with the focus of a sniper. Ms. Brooks, I've prosecuted domestic violence for 15 years. This is one of the most thoroughly documented cases I've seen. She pulled up Victor's arrest record on her computer. With his warehouse rampage and the threats on camera, we're adding intimidation of a witness and terrorist threats. Terrorist threats. Under Ohio law, threatening to commit violence to terrorize someone qualifies. The burned uniform sealed it that symbolic violence meant to intimidate. Tuesday's preparation session with Patricia was intense. We ran through potential cross-examination questions for 3 hours. They'll try to paint you as oversensitive, militant, rigid. Patricia warned. Your response. I document facts, follow procedures, and maintain standards in military service and civilian life. Good. What about the uniform issue? Wearing my uniform after drill is authorized and normal. I've done it for 6 years without incident until Victor decided to make it an issue. Wednesday. We added final pieces to our evidence chain. The FBI had completed their analysis of Colton's devices, finding deleted messages where Denise explicitly instructed him to make Cassidy's life hell until she drops the charges. Special Agent Kerr called with crucial information. Ms. Brooks, we found something interesting. Colton searched how to burn military uniform without getting caught and is destroying Army property a federal crime 2 days before the arson. Premeditation, Patricia said when I told her. That moves it from impulse to planned intimidation. Thursday morning at 0500, I arranged my evidence binders in my military backpack, each section tabbed, highlighted, ready for rapid reference. My dress uniform hung pressed and perfect. Patricia called at 0600. Final prep meeting at my office. 1000 hours. The prosecutor wants to review your testimony one more time. At her office, Ada Nowak laid out the strategy. We're presenting this as escalating domestic violence with aggravating factors. The uniform targeting shows bias against military service. The coordinated campaign shows conspiracy, and the arson shows escalation to potential violence. What's their defense? Based on their lawyer's motions, they're claiming you provoked Victor, that the family's response was normal concern, and that Colton acted alone out of brotherly protection. The evidence says otherwise, Patricia noted, gesturing at our wall of binders. Friday, the final business day before the hearing. I worked my regular shift at Northbridge. James had decorated my desk with a small American flag and a sign, Team Cassidy. Angela stopped by with a card signed by 43 employees. We'll be at the hearing Monday, as many as can fit in the courtroom. That evening, I did what any good logistics specialist would do. I backed up everything one more time. 3 cloud services, 2 external drives, and physical copies in Patricia's safe. The chain of evidence was unbreakable. At 2100 hours, Captain Mercer texted, "Formation at the courthouse, 0830 Monday. Class A uniforms. We stand with our own." I looked at my evidence wall one last time. 6 weeks ago, Victor had attacked me for wearing my uniform with pride. Monday, an entire unit would wear theirs in my defense. The chain of command he'd tried to break had become my strongest support. The logistics were complete, the supply lines secured. Now it was time for the operation to begin. Monday morning, 0830. The Riverton County Courthouse steps were lined with Class A uniforms. 7 soldiers from the 141st Sustainment Company stood in formation as I arrived. Captain Mercer nodded once no words needed. The courtroom was packed. Victor sat at the defense table in an ill-fitting suit, his lawyer whispering urgently. Denise clutched tissues in the second row, surrounded by family members who glared at me. Colton sat separately with his own attorney, head down, orange jumpsuit visible under a jacket. Judge Margaret Chen called the hearing to order at 900 hours sharp. "This is a hearing for permanent restraining orders and consideration of criminal charges. Ms. Brooks, please take the stand." For 40 minutes, Ada Nowak walked me through that night. I kept my voice steady, military bearing intact, as I described each moment. When she played Mrs. de Patterson's doorbell footage on the courtroom screen, several jury members flinched at the sound of impact. "Let the record show," Nowak stated. "The timestamp confirms 9:47 p.m., matching Ms. Brooks's documented timeline exactly." Victor's lawyer, Paul Garrett, stood for cross-examination. "Ms. Brooks, isn't it true you arrived at the party in uniform to make a statement?" "I arrived in uniform because I came directly from drill weekend, sir." "But you could have changed." "I could have missed my grandmother's birthday instead. I chose family." He tried another angle. "You claim Mr. Hale attacked you, but you're military trained. Couldn't you have defended yourself?" "I'm trained to de-escalate, sir, and trained to respect civilian law. Defending myself against a drunk civilian in his home would have been spun as an attack by a soldier." The security footage from Northbridge played next. The courtroom watched Victor rage, destroy property, threaten me on camera. His lawyer had no questions about that evidence. Mrs. Patterson took the stand, steady and clear. I heard the impact through my kitchen window. Cassidy never raised her voice until after she was struck. Then came the evidence that shattered Victor's defense. Dorothy Lane testified via video link from Michigan, describing Victor's pattern. The Navy veteran's ex-wife, Maria Santos, took the stand with hospital records from 2016. "He said soldiers thought they were heroes," Maria testified, "but he'd show me what real power looked like." At 11:30, the prosecution played the Tesla footage. Colton's face was crystal clear as he ran from my burning uniform. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Special Agent Kerr testified about the federal investigation. The search history shows premeditation. The defendant researched federal penalties before committing the crime. After lunch, the defense presented their case. Victor took the stand, claiming I'd disrespected his home and he'd barely touched me. Ada Nowak's cross was surgical. "Mr. Hale, do you recognize this audio?" She played his threat from the Northbridge lobby. "That uniform won't protect her." I was upset. "Were you upset when you punched Dorothy Lane's fence?" "Objection," Garrett called. "Pattern of behavior, Your Honor." Nowak responded, "I'll allow it." The questioning continued for 20 minutes. Victor's composure cracked with each piece of evidence. When Nowak displayed the medical photos of my bruised face beside Maria Santos's broken wrist X-rays, Victor's hands clenched. Denise took the stand next, crying about her destroyed family, but when Nowak presented the text messages instructing Colton to harass me, Denise's tears couldn't hide the calculation. "You wrote, quote, 'Make her suffer until she drops this nonsense.' Is that correct? I was protecting my family. By instructing your son to commit crimes, Colton didn't testify his lawyer knew the evidence was overwhelming. At 3:30 p.m., Captain Mercer took the stand as a character witness. Specialist Brooks exemplifies Army values loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. The attack on her while in uniform was an attack on all who serve. The judge called a recess at 4 p.m. 20 minutes later, we reconvened. I've reviewed the evidence. Judge Chen began. Mr. Hale, please stand. Victor rose slowly, his lawyer beside him. The court finds clear and convincing evidence of assault, intimidation, and a pattern of domestic violence specifically targeting military service members. The restraining order is granted for 5 years, the maximum allowed. You are to have no contact with Ms. Brooks, directly or through third parties. She turned to the prosecution table. Ms. Nowak, does the state wish to proceed with criminal charges? Yes, Your Honor. The state charges Victor Hale with assault, intimidation of a witness, terrorist threats, and violation of civil rights based on military status. Mr. Hale, you are remanded to custody pending arraignment, bail set at $50,000. Victor exploded. This is bullshit. She ruined everything. Control your client, Judge Chen warned. She addressed Colton next. Mr. Colton Hale, the federal charges for destruction of government property and witness intimidation will proceed in federal court. You remain in custody. Finally, she turned to Denise. Mrs. Hale, conspiracy charges are filed. You're released on your own recognizance pending arraignment. The gavel fell with finality. In the gallery, my unit stood at attention, a silent wall of support. Angela and my Northbridge colleagues filled another row, some wiping tears. As court security led Victor away, he turned once more. But instead of rage, I saw defeat in his eyes. The uniform he'd tried to shame me for wearing was now worn by dozens in my defense. Outside, Captain Mercer gathered the unit. Outstanding bearing. Brooks, you held the line. 2 weeks later, Victor's arraignment was swift. The prosecutor added federal charges when the FBI confirmed he'd targeted 4 military families over 12 years. His lawyer tried to negotiate, but with video evidence, witness testimony, and a clear pattern, there was no room to maneuver. Victor pled guilty to assault, intimidation, and terrorist threats. The judge sentenced him to 18 months in prison, 3 years probation, mandatory anger management, and ordered him to pay $14,000 in restitution for my medical bills and destroyed property. But the moment that truly ended everything came when the judge ordered Victor to surrender his firearms. No, Victor shouted. You can't take a man's guns. Domestic violence conviction. Mr. Hale, federal law prohibits you from owning firearms for life. As they led him away, I saw him finally understand his actions had consequences he never imagined. Colton's federal trial was shorter. The Tesla footage, search history, and burned uniform remnants left no doubt. 6 months federal prison, 2 years probation, $10,000 fine for destroying government property, and a formal written apology to the Army Reserve Unit to be read aloud at formation. Denise avoided jail but received 2 years probation for conspiracy and harassment. The judge ordered no contact with me for 5 years. She left the courthouse alone. Most of the family had distanced themselves after seeing the real evidence. A month later, I stood at formation as Colton read his apology, voice shaking. I apologize to Specialist Brooks and the 141st Sustainment Company for destroying military property and disrespecting the uniform and service. Captain Mercer accepted it formally, but his cold expression said everything. Patricia's civil suit moved quickly after the criminal convictions. The settlement covered all legal fees, lost wages, therapy costs, and punitive damages. Victor's house, the one where he'd said I wasn't welcome, had to be sold to pay it. 3 months after that November night, Dorothy Lane called me. Cassidy, I wanted you to know 4 more victims reached out after seeing the news coverage. You gave them courage to speak up. Maria Santos sent an email. Thank you for finishing what I couldn't. You stood your ground for all of us. At Northbridge Logistics, things returned to normal. The company implemented new security measures and a veteran support program, Angela's idea, approved unanimously by management. My desk still has that small American flag. The 141st Sustainment Company made my case a training example on supporting soldiers facing domestic violence. Major Silva now leads workshops on recognizing and responding to attacks on service members. 6 months after the assault, I stood in formation for drill weekend, wearing my uniform with the same pride I always had. But now I understood something deeper. The uniform wasn't just about my service. It represented a community that stood behind their own. That evening, I got a text from Captain Mercer with a photo from the courthouse steps, 7 soldiers in Class A uniforms, standing at attention. His message was simple: "This is what right looks like." I keep that photo on my desk next to my evidence binders. Yes, I kept them. They remind me that documentation, determination, and refusing to be silenced can overcome even the most vicious campaign of lies. Victor thought he could break me by attacking what I was proud of. He thought shame and intimidation would make me fold. He thought wrong. Because I didn't just wear the uniform that night, I embodied what it stands for: loyalty to truth, duty to justice, respect for the law, selfless service to others who might face the same abuse, honor in standing up when it would be easier to stay down, integrity in documenting every detail, and personal courage to fight a battle that started with a single punch but ended with systemic change. My name is Cassidy Brooks. I'm a soldier in the United States Army Reserve, a logistics specialist at Northbridge Logistics, and a survivor who refused to let abuse hide behind family ties. And I still wear my uniform with pride. Victor was right about one thing that night. I was proud. Too proud to let him win. Too proud to let abuse continue. Too proud to take off my uniform in shame. And that pride, it saved my life. The courthouse steps are empty now when I pass them on my way to drill. But I still remember the sound of that gavel, the sight of those Class A uniforms, and the moment Victor learned that attacking one soldier meant facing an entire army. Thank you all for listening to my story. I know it was intense, but these situations happen more than we'd like to admit. If you're experiencing something similar, please know you're not alone, and there is help available. I'm curious, where are you listening to this story from? Drop a comment below and let me know what country or state you're in. I'd love to connect with others who understand the importance of standing up against abuse. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts in the comments. Your own experiences and perspectives matter, and this community is here to support each other.